like to call to order the Chi-Li Town Board meeting for November 13th, 2024. Would everyone please rise and join us for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to come together this evening to serve the constituents of Chi-Li. We thank you for our family, our friends, and all that you have given us. We thank you for the freedom that we have as Americans and for those dedicated armed forces personnel who continue to protect that freedom. We ask that your wisdom and guidance be upon all those present this evening and that you bestow your blessings and protection upon all your people, especially our Chi-Li residents. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory.
Here.
Councilwoman Spare.
Here.
Councilman Valerio.
Here.
Councilman Slattery.
Here.
And Supervisor Dunning.
Here. Other officials and advisors present this evening. To my far right, our town clerk, Jenny Ignatowski. Also to my right, Deputy Town Supervisor, Councilman Michael Slattery. To my far left is Councilor for the Town, Jared Hurt. Side table, we have Commissioner of Public Works, Superintendent of Highways, David Lindsay, Director of Finance, Dan Knapp, and from my office, Don Forte. Our stenographer is Sandy Hewitt. And in the event of an emergency, if you would use the exits to the corners of the room, we'd appreciate it. And also, if anyone has a cell phone, if you'd please either turn it off or set it to vibrate, it would be great. We are going to start out this evening with a presentation. Trevor Hout from Passero Associates is here for the zoning application for 3231, 3235, 3249, and 3253 Chi-Li Avenue. Trevor, it's all yours.
President, brought some handouts with me today.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Travis.
No, it's changed.
I'm holding it upside down. It's like, wait, it changed.
Well, it did change.
Oh, jeez.
Good evening, Town Board. My name is Trevor Hout, representing my client tonight at the Chi-Li Development Group. We're here tonight as a continuation of the incentive zoning process regarding the proposed Chi-Li Center development project located across from Chi-Li Hall Plaza on the corner of Old Scottsville Road and Chi-Li Avenue. I handed out the most up-to-date sketch plan that has Starbucks on the west side of the new town roadway. We've been working with them to refine the design. The Starbucks/Chipotle building and the dedicated road connection are to be the first phase of the development. The revised design helps provide 10-foot setback frontage respectively along Chi-Li Avenue. The buildings along the dedicated roadway titled Main Street will be closer to the right-of-way for that Main Street feeling. The intent is to attract open-air dining establishments, boutique shops, and service tenants. Patios will be connected to public sidewalks for a walkable atmosphere where one may enjoy a future Christmas parade. 48 luxury apartment units within two separate buildings are located in the far eastern section of the project with adequate fire lanes and circulation provided. 56,000 square feet of commercial space will be built in phases as to not oversaturate the market. Approximately 326 parking stalls are provided. So this is the incentive zoning process. Let's summarize the incentives, which is the relief requested. 10-foot front building setbacks along Chi-Li Avenue. Minimum, well, that construction would allow along the dedicated town road. First floor residential units in the proposed multifamily buildings. Parking stall quantity relief. Approximately 1 stall per 400 square feet and 1.5 stalls per unit. Building height for the 3-story apartments is proposed to be approximately 48 feet tall. This will provide the gable style, attractive roofs, and the town code currently allows 35 feet. Relief from the side rear yard setback requirements when abutting a roadway, and then relief from the special use requirements for outdoor dining. Amenity offers include improvements to Memorial Park, specifically at the northeast corner of Scottsville Road and Memorial Park Drive. Old Scottsville Chi-Li Road and Memorial Park Drive, excuse me. The proposed upgrade to the park include improve/resurface the existing parking lot, replacement of the basketball courts with 2 pickleball courts, providing a 40 by 20 covered pavilion, and robust landscaping. I know you guys have been digesting the plan. Obviously, we just wanted to keep you guys as up to date as possible and respect that 10-foot front setback along Chi-Li Avenue. So we felt that it was worthy to, bust this out and show you guys the direction that it's heading. At the end of the day, this is a sketch plan approval, and we just wanted you to have the most up-to-date information.
Trevor, thank you. Before the board ask any questions, if you would indulge, got a couple of things I'd like to throw in here. Had a conversation this morning with our town engineer, David Lindsay, and our building department manager, talking about some of the relief that they were looking for. Originally, it was 0 setback. We asked that consideration be made for 10 feet in the case that the planning board would want to put some landscaping or add something additional up to the front of this if it goes to the planning board.
Okay.
We didn't want to kind of tie their hands and say, well, no, you can't because we've got 0 setbacks, and this gives the planning board some latitude to do what they want. A couple other things that were pointed out at that Trevor, I wasn't able to get a hold of Jess or yourself when we realized this, but part of the relief that you're looking for, a couple things that we pointed out, that were pointed out is the actual specific count of parking spaces. It was recommended by both the building department and superintendent of highways that the relief be more generalized,
Okay.
and not limit necessarily, because you may be, and David or Paul, correct me, I think Paul was in here, correct me if I'm mistaken, but we would ask that perhaps the ask for part of your relief, a part of the incentive be 1 space for every 300 square feet versus 1 slot for every 200 square feet, so that you're not stuck with 231 spots and you end up and you get it all built out and you have 230, which wouldn't meet, necessarily the code. So we thought if you added that into would give a little bit more latitude there. You did recognize the 10-foot setback that we had talked about. And the other thing that no one ever caught until recently is there's Section 543A1. There's a requirement that commercial buildings are required to have 1 off-street loading berth for the first 5,000 square feet of any one additional. So the building department and superintendent of highways believe that this is not necessarily something that these type of facilities would need a loading berth. So I'd ask that you would amend your ask for relief from that part of the code. You've already now also agreed that the sidewalk would go in on there, and I see it's on the drawing also. You've managed to get that in there. So the sidewalk will be built to the culvert, not to Chi-Li Scottsville, and the town would take it from the culvert to Chi-Li Scottsville. Correct, David?
Can I ask why? I'm sorry.
I thought with when discussions earlier today, there was about not necessarily crossing the creek, that the developer expressed a willingness to extend the sidewalk from Old Scottsville Chi-Li up to the culvert. There'd be a small gap there, and then it would extend from the culvert the other side up to their entranceway.
I think that's a
And
fair deal.
the town would handle that portion directly over the culvert, any permitting that's required for that in the culvert extension.
Right.
It'd be minimal work for us to do that, so.
Right.
Yeah.
We good
So
there?
can you explain that again? Because this is the third drawing that we've gotten. And one other thing, Ginny, actually, the town clerk actually made a good suggestion. Since we have the map, could you turn that around, maybe put it up here so the audience could possibly see it, so they understand pull it up closer so the people on the other side as well? Come towards us, come towards the
Bring it
guys.
over here, Trevor,
There you
right in
go.
front. There you go.
There you go. Thank you. So then this way they can see. Can you explain that one more time in regards to the sidewalk? Because right now the drawing shows it heading west on Memorial Park. and heading west towards Charlie Scottsville, Old Scottsville Charlie Road. Are you going to just stop, David, from what you're saying? I understand that. David, from what you're saying, are you talking about it to extend farther toward, yes, extend it farther to the west, or stop it where they're proposing on the drawing?
You did take a look at the drawing, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's this.
We understand, but on the old drawing, it doesn't have the sidewalk going that way, so now
Correct.
I just heard,
This just happened this morning, Councilman, I'm
That
sorry.
would be part of the Memorial Park improvements is the connection from the park side, and then from the project side would consider that an additional amenity. And
So the intent in that stretch there would be to extend it from where it terminates by the parking lot for the basketball courts. Pick it up there and go east and stop it just short of the creek.
Okay.
And pick it up again on the east side of the creek and connect it into where their sidewalk comes out there. That would also be a full curb section similar to the south side, so that'd be a sidewalk curb section in there.
but to clarify, you're talking about the town doing that work?
No.
The developer doing that work. So this is something that would have to be added to this?
That's
We
what
would- We would do that, roughly that hatched area there for the creek crossing.
Okay, so just by the creek crossing. I just want clarification on that, because wasn't clear when the supervisor said, and then David was saying something, so.
Exactly, and that was a great summary. Exactly as David said.
That's an added amenity for us.
Correct.
Okay.
Be happy to,
So, go ahead.
Those conditions.
I'm done with what I needed to say for now. But, oh, one more thing, sorry. I just want to thank you, go back and thank the developer for listening to our concerns. I know it was brought up as part of the last conversation when you were here presenting this and listening to what our concerns were and coming back to the table with addressing those concerns. So I want to thank you and thank the developers for considering our thoughts. So thank you.
it's our pleasure.
Yeah, just to piggyback on that, yeah, I appreciate that as well, that I like the restaurants down on Memorial Park, the patio idea there. The apartments moved over to the east side of the development. So thank you for taking that feedback. Just a couple of questions. So it looks like there is other than Main Street, it looks like there's still going to be a second exit out from the parking lot onto Memorial Drive as well?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Now, is there going to be any other exits out of your development onto Charlie Avenue or just Main Street?
So that's one thing
Bless you.
that with this iteration, we weren't sure we were going to get that right out on the east side of
Yeah.
Chili Ave. So with this design, it eliminated that and improved circulation for the Panera. Formerly, we had 3 separate drive-through, and we condensed the Starbucks and Chipotle to the
Yeah.
same building. And so that now there's only 2 drive-throughs.
I saw that.
And we're able to space that out more along that frontage, screen those drive-through areas with landscaping, and then, have those buildings a bit closer to the right-of-way than code would allow. And as we go through with the planning board, we'll be coordinating pedestrian connections to that sidewalk that's along Chila Avenue.
Okay, thank you. And will this Main Street have streetlights down it?
Yeah, it would be a public road. We'd be open to doing a lighting district and doing anything that would be required for that. And we'd be happy to provide streetlights, and would definitely, when we start working with the planning board, make that a reality.
Okay, thank you.
Trevor, when you're talking about Starbucks and Chipotle, you're saying there'll be just one drive-up they'll share a drive-up?
Yeah, similarly to, I don't know if you guys have been out on 31 in Parrington. They have a Starbucks Chipotle there where the Starbucks has a drive-through, and basically that's in a third of the building, and then the Chipotle kind of occupies the other 2/3. So we would be, vetting that out, whether it would make sense to have a third tenant in there or if it would just be Starbucks and Chipotle.
Okay.
So getting back to the streetlights question that James asked, it appears that you also have the streetlights that are going to be within the parking lot area of
Yeah.
the structures?
Those would, there would be adequate lighting for safety and for circulation parking Those style might be more of like a residential lantern, and we'd be open to any style that the town would recommend.
The planning board will
Yeah,
ask you.
exactly.
The reason why I ask is because I see them in there, so I'm sure planning board's going to get to all that as well. And we're not, obviously not the planning board, and I don't want to get into all that. One question I have then, referring to Chili Avenue, there was some thought or a comment made in regards to the property that's to the east. There was no change in thoughts, opinions from the owner of that little strip mall that you're aware of?
I am aware of conversations ongoing to acquire, and then, as this
Develops, moves on?
There'll be even more incentive to sell it.
Right.
And
Nothing is, there's no update?
no update.
Okay, all right. And then, since this is the third revision that we've seen, supervisor, council, in regards to that, now, if we walk away today by saying, yeah, let's, say, send this to planning board, the chances of a different design coming in,
It's my understanding.
Rare at this point. We want to
Well,
give you-
it is my understanding, council, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that the drawing that we receive, that we send to the planning board, has to be done as presented.
okay?
So as it relates to the apartments and the location of the apartments,
Mhm.
they do have to be in this spot over here.
Yeah.
They can't put them over up on Chili Avenue. They can't put them back along the Memorial Drive. That it is still, the incentives are being offered based on the sketch and the drawings that have been presented to us.
Yeah, there can be minor tweaks, modifications, but any substantial change would have to come back before you.
Okay,
So things having to do with what they're asking for.
That's correct.
what they're proposing today.
Okay, good question.
You don't have another map in your bag, do you?
That's why we want to be transparent. We've been working with Starbucks. We've been developing.
Council
this
has a copy, so we're good.
We want to be
But
transparent,
can-
give you the progress.
I just want to clarify, because I thought what Councilman DeCory had asked, I don't know that I heard the answer correctly, or perhaps I didn't hear the question correctly. But based on this
Looks like it.
drawing, Starbucks and Chipotle are sharing a drive-through?
That is.
The Chipotle will probably be like carry out to parking
on that
lots.
sidewalk.
The Starbucks would be.
So they won't have a drive-through?
No. that's-
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
I
The
just wasn't,
drive-through would be. for
I know it's a
Starbucks,
planning issue, but I wanted to look at that
And
and.
Starbucks menus.
Right.
And then, the
Okay.
Chipotle would be kind of like a drive-up, like
Right.
fast meal, they bring it out.
So nobody's going to run down the sidewalk with this Chipotle bag? And they might.
Or carrying Chipotle over to Starbucks to get out to their
Right.
car.
Underground conveyor belt or something?
Are we calling this Main Street? Is that,
No, but that's just what it's being referred
It's
to at
being
this
referred
point.
to
There's
as,
no,
okay.
there is no street name.
who determines the street name is my question.
I don't know.
Oh, you want it named after you?
Trying
No,
to think.
no, not at all. I just wanted to know.
Mary Spearway.
Yeah,
Well,
that's.
it's always Mary's way.
No, I'm just curious. I don't know. We haven't had a project like this that I've
Oh,
been able to ask that
yeah.
before.
The developer does name the street.
Okay,
They always do.
okay.
Sometimes they ask for recommendations and things like that.
Subject to 911 approval.
They can hire people.
Any other questions from the board?
No.
No, I mean, because just looking at it quickly, just getting this tonight, and the various changes and modifications. So the superintendent of highways building department, obviously you've received feedback from them. The parking that's going to get overlaid, some improvements down by the little park area. Have we actually looked at that? How many, because now we're putting in a parking lot and we're going to do some improvements to it. No, over there, yeah.
Yeah.
And so do you know how many parking spots will be able to fit in that area? Did we look at that from a town standpoint? Because pickleball obviously is going to generate more traffic, putting in 2 courts. So then also from the aspect of having the ball fields across the street. So, in the pavilion. So I think, that's something that, granted, they want to do some improvements to it, but the potential to increase the size of it to meet our needs and to make it functional for people to park in there. Because I know that, when you look at what we have at Davis Park, when you come off of Paul Road, how the parking lot there and, how that can get a little congested. So I just think that we should really take a look at that and make sure that what we're doing there is going to suit our residents' needs in the future.
Don't disagree. I don't know, David, if anybody can answer the amount of parking spaces. I don't believe the intent was to make it bigger. I believe it was to basically kind of resurface, improve the lot, stripe it, those kind of things.
Well, that's why I'm asking about striping, because now when you go up and you take a look at that from a functionality standpoint, can we actually stripe it to meet code, especially with ADA? And because now ADA, the building department is going to know this better than I, and what is required, especially if you have a handicap van, now that's going to take up 2 spots, basically.
Well, then I would suggest we put it on the record today that this lot be improved to the point where it's striped and that it would meet, and I'm going to assume it would meet, don't want to assume, but we'll make it conditioned that upon the parking lot improvements that would include striping and adequate ADA accessibility to the park area.
Yeah, because basically, realistically, I don't think we're going to have enough spots, in just my personal opinion, for what could be going on there. And so that's why I think we need to look at that.
We could probably pave that whole thing and it'd still not be enough for some events that go on over there, I would think.
Just for pickleball alone,
Yeah.
Do you know how many spots it accommodates now at its current setup? Do we know, David?
legally.
It's not striped, so
Right.
there's really no control in it at the moment.
30 or so.
I wouldn't say that much. I wouldn't even say that much.
No?
No.
I would think closer to 20, probably.
Yeah, less than that, I bet you.
But we'll make it that, in what we send over to the planning board, that improvement, the incentive be that upon those improvements, the lots are
Yes.
already, that will be striped
Okay.
and handicap accessible signs noted.
Mr. Lindsay, how many spots are we planning on putting over to the east
By the old highway.
by the old highway garage?
I think we had a count of around 40 that would be going in there, and that's, we still have that project on a little bit of hold here, waiting to see what happens with this project here and how they might blend together, because I think one of the exits for the parking lot was going to be tying into the access road, so we might have to reconfigure things a little bit to make it work.
And is there going to be, I mean, I know the answer is going to be yes here, but I'm going to state on the record anyways, like a smooth transition between our parking project and their development, obviously.
That's definitely our goal. That's why we kind of paused what we were doing over there till we see what happens here. So,
Okay.
so we didn't want to expend a lot of money, putting in a parking lot that we have to, completely rip out to get it to blend together well. So,
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Then I guess I'm going to recommend that we recommend to the applicant to go to the planning board at this time and get the planning board's feedback on this application. Is there anyone feels otherwise?
No, I'm good.
Just for the public, what's the next step?
The next step is they go to the planning board. The planning board will review the sketch plan and the concept and the incentives that are being offered. They will then vet that and let the town board know whether they approve or disapprove of the incentives and the package that's being offered. In the case in which they, I will say if they approve and say that to move forward, the next step would be the town board would set a public hearing for the incentive zoning. We would hold a public hearing for the incentive, and then there would be a vote on the incentive. In that order. If they decline it, it still comes back to the town board. The town board can decide at that time whether or not they'd like to still proceed with it, or they can then say that we are not going to entertain. So we still have those.
Right. One other question, I brought this up before I asked, and I don't know this, and this would be more for the building department, but is there a certain amount of green space that is required for a development? And if so, is it met within this proposal?
Building coverage is at 30% max. We were at 20%. In the GB district, there was no green space requirements that we could find in the code. Other than that, the building coverage, I don't know.
That's accurate. We don't, in our code, we don't have a green space requirement. We do have a building coverage, but that's strictly for structures. Parking lots are not part of that. As part of their stormwater management, as they work through that, they'll have some green space probably included for that, but certainly that could be a planning board item, if we wanted to see more green space incorporated in this, site plan, that would come up at that point, so.
Well, and I'm glad that point was brought up, because in the first drawing, it actually showed a pond that was on the site. Not seeing that now in the amount of runoff that you're going to have because of the amount of asphalt that you're going to have. So I'm sure that's going to be looked at when it goes there. In the green space, the reason why I asked about that, because now if you do need more green space, where are you going to get it from? What are you going to eliminate? And what are you going to have to modify? So, I appreciate the input on that. So.
Anything else?
Not yet, but give me a minute.
So, Trevor, I believe the
You better move.
I believe the town board agrees to send this to this point for the planning board for their, to vet the application and get on the planning board agenda as soon as you can. But, and good luck.
Thank you for
All right.
working with
Thank
us.
you.
I
Thank you.
appreciate that, Trevor.
Thank you.
All right, moving along, we do have a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard at this public hearing, please step up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you should be heard. This is for Local Law 4 of 2024, establishing a 6-month moratorium on Tier 3 solar energy approvals within the town of Chi-Lai. Anyone wishing to step up to the public hearing?
Good evening.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm Raul Coley, I'm the property owner. Hopefully you can all hear me. I understand the town's concern with the moratorium and why they want to put it in effect. I guess my concern is, what are we going to do? What are the steps that the town is going to take in the 6 months of this moratorium to implement this fee schedule to ensure that we can work with the town to develop this property? Because from the developer, our standpoint, we've listened to the town's concerns. We've listened to the Public Works Department's concerns about the easements and the gas line. We've listened to the neighbors' concerns about the traffic. And so we brought a project that we thought would benefit the town. So our concern is there a plan, just not a moratorium? So I turn over to you and ask, what's the town's plan?
The town's plan at this time, should the moratorium go through and be passed, the town will then meet. There'd be typically the Commissioner of Public Works, head of the building department, and council will be involved. We'll discuss the elements, we'll look at the code, see where the code changes need to be made, what needs to get done. Then those then have to go through a process again, similar to this incentive zoning. We need to, once the code is been revised to our satisfaction, then we will, we set a public hearing, hold a public hearing, and then vote on the incentives. So that period of time is generally at least 3 months, and we're looking at, we could look, it's hard to say. I spoke earlier with your engineering for the solar firm, and today, and sometimes it's hard to get everybody together in a 3-month period of time to get everything the way we want it and get it vetted. So it's 6 months, believe it or not, is a tight schedule for us. We will do everything we can to get it done within that 6-month time frame.
That's true.
But that's the process.
So is the concern more the fee schedule, or we don't have a process period?
We don't have we have a process for code changes is nothing more than people getting together, talking about what needs to change, making those changes, reviewing them from a legal standpoint, making sure they're good, and then getting it out to the public so the public understands what those code changes are. So that's the process. We have the process. We've done this. We've made code changes time and time again. It's
So it's not that we don't have a fee schedule, it's that we don't have a code.
We don't have a fee schedule. We don't have a fee schedule for these applications.
So that's the concern, that we don't have a
That's
fee
correct.
schedule for it? Okay.
Now, that's not to say, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Go ahead.
It's not to say that when we start going through this code, that there's other things we see that maybe we missed the first time because we missed the fee schedule. So maybe there could be other things, and actually there was one thing brought up today, earlier by your people, that mentioned something, about a update or a renewal of like if you decommission and a renewal or something, there's some language that probably needs to be put in there, what we would do to renew the project. I don't know, our understanding is solar panels only last so long, right? So if solar panels need to all get replaced, do we need to do something in that, in a renewal process or something like that? We'll look at it. I don't know that we need it, but it's something we're going to look at too.
Going to reach out to our neighbors in the surrounding towns that have this in place, the same way we use
We
the surrounding towns?
we will typically go through E-Code 360, which is general code, which almost every municipality in our region uses. We have the ability to go through there and look at other towns' codes, and yes, sometimes plagiarizing is a lot easier than trying to reinvent the wheel. So
We can see where the mistakes were, too.
correct. We'll look at other codes to see where what they've done and what how they've handled it.
So in your opinion, 6 months, although it is a tight window,
Is
doable?
But
maybe
just to be clear, assuming this gets approved tonight, there are other people that are not present at tonight's meeting that will have involvement in reviewing this code. That is the crux and the intent of a moratorium. So you're taking the people that are working or affiliated with the town, right? Members of the zoning, members of the planning board, right? Getting input because it is, assuming it passes, there's an acknowledgement that the code as it sits today, okay, might not be sufficient, right? There is a gap. And so that needs to be addressed and that needs to be taken into consideration with the overall town comprehensive plan. So as much as we'd love to give you definitive answers tonight, it's just not possible.
Well, I understand and I respect that and I appreciate your honesty. I guess that as a taxpayer in the town of Chi-Li, I have concerns that we weren't prepared for solar. We have all this land, we have all this access, we see it going up in all the towns around us, and we're not prepared?
It doesn't necessarily.
Hold on for 1 second. So I pay taxes on the land, I listen to the town, I listen to the neighbors, and I bring a project that checks every box, and I can't move forward. And I look at the town and I say, I am disappointed, because I turn to you to have the code, to be ready to implement this. I'm not saying you're not doing a good job. Don't take what I'm saying because you're all doing a great job. I'm saying, as a developer, I'm like, please, I'm asking 6 months, because I'm trying to keep everyone happy.
And as council stated, I don't think we can guarantee that. We will do our best.
That's all I can ask.
But I can't guarantee that that's what we get.
We can only hope that we can complete it within that time frame.
Fair enough. Right. Thank you.
Sir, could you spell your last name for me?
K-O-H-L.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else like to speak at the public hearing?
If I may. My name is Harrell Johnson, representing Solar America Energy, the developer working with Mr. Foley. First, I'd like to thank you for the sentiments regarding veterans. As a 33-year veteran of our nation's armed forces, that means a lot. So
Thank you for your
God bless you.
service.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I feel it's important that we as a developer at least leverage our experience to this process to help. We understand that this is the first project for you all, for the town of Chi-Li.
Very good. We had a discussion about this earlier today.
Chili in China, yeah.
I was wondering about that. Our organization, this is what we do. We develop projects. Part of that process is we look at ordinance when we do our site review to identify prospective projects, and we approach the clients. We look at the ordinances that exist. And one of the things that we look at is whether or not, one, they're viable and we could comply with them. And based on that assessment, we initiate the process. This is concerning for us as an organization for a number of reasons. One being the investments that we've made with the local utilities, RG&E. You may not be aware, but in terms of the points of interconnection to get the project going, there is an interconnection application that has to get filed. Initial deposits have to be made, $83K for initial 25% of whatever the cost is to do those upgrades to allow this energy to be taken into that facility at that point of interconnection for the local utility. And just for the record, we have a $280K balance payment that we're issuing out this week to move this project forward. So not including the engineering that has gone into the project at this point. Our concern, my leadership's concern, is that you have an ordinance that's in place. We just question whether or not a 6-month moratorium, would that require a 6-month moratorium to establish a fee schedule? When I look at your code in chapter 266, section 3, we understand the fee schedule is you need a fee schedule. You have provisions out in that code that talks about fees. We as an organization are prepared to make an initial deposit to set up an escrow account. Your code calls for that. Your provisions outlined in that section are typical of what we would see. Make the deposit. The deposit was the deposit for. The deposit is to cover the cost associated with reviewing an application. In theory, it can't be no more than that. We're prepared to do that as it gets sorted out in order that this project can continue for Mr. Coley. We're prepared to sign an agreement saying that if at the end of this, you all make a decision that, say if we make a $10,000, $15,000 initial escrow payment or deposit to support the review of the application by your parties, that it needs to be something higher that's obviously within reason. Again, these costs are supposed to be to cover the cost for your parties, whether it be consultants, engineers, to review the application. We would be willing to sign and do that to keep this moving forward and to support Mr. Coley. Our leadership is immediately prepared to do that. As Mr. Dunning mentioned, we talked earlier today, there were some issues with the initial packet that were submitted. I've got my team working on that across the country because we have personnel spread out through the country working for this effort. For instance, one was that matter of an easement. We talked at length about that. And we misunderstood that required a separate process. We're ready to take that off the table because we will modify our design to come out of that easement. So that wouldn't require a separate process. There's additional land to the south where this project is planned that we will try to move to get the project in. So that takes any easement concern off the table. So no fee schedule, no easement issue. We will address and get compliant with whatever the ordinance says in terms of standoff distances. A concern was brought up with the planning board member, and we will address that. That's part of the normal process. But in terms of the fee schedule, which seems to be driving this process, we have experience in that. We're willing to help. We make that offer to help this process, and we just question whether the moratorium of 6 months is really necessary. we've looked at your ordinance, and we work with a lot of authorities having jurisdiction. And so this is our business, this is our livelihood. And they range from great, where they absolutely should be standing down because they don't have a number of provisions in their ordinance. We typically will see a moratorium when a state or other governmental entity decides that they want to move forward with solar projects or wind projects, and they decide who the AHJs, with the authorities having jurisdiction, will be, and they are not ready for it. And so to stop developers like us from bombarding them with calls and everything, they issue a moratorium to allow themselves to develop that ordinance. You have an ordinance. You actually have, we think you have a very good ordinance. You don't have your fee schedules, okay? We understand that. Does that require 6 months when the heart of it is your ordinance? And we understand that we're the first case for you. And we believe in being good neighbors with any jurisdiction that we work with, and we're prepared to do that, offer our expertise and our support, whether it be sample schedules, fee schedules, or whatever the case may be. We want to be good partners wherever we operate. And I give you my word as the senior developer on this project, my word as an officer and a gentleman, I'm a retired lieutenant colonel. My integrity means everything to us. That's what we're prepared to do. And so we would ask that if nothing else, being that this is the first project, being that we've got an application in, we've made significant investment on this project already with pending hundreds of thousands of dollars out the door and about to go out of the door because they're due next week to get the utility upgrades going. We ask, in the spirit of vested rights, that this project be allowed to continue as you develop that, and we work with you all to develop what you feel is missing, and we make an initial deposit that we think can help get your costs going. If you need us to increase that cost because you think it's a little more, then we're prepared to do that. You have that in your Chapter 266 regarding how to do that. Payments go to the clerk. We're prepared to do that because that is basic blocking and tackling for us in these matters. That's all I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for the town board and my conversations with the building department, the application originally for quite some time was not complete. The building department did correspond back with the applicant to let them know these are the specific things that were missing from your application, one of which is the fee. An application is not deemed complete until the fees are paid, and then they get put onto the planning board. Your application is accepted, and they're put onto the planning board. I see, so Mr. Wanzenreed's here, so I'm going to ask him a question. Did the SWIP get submitted?
Yeah.
So, along with the fees, the SWIP has not been submitted either, so this project is still incomplete as of this moment. We have not gotten all of things, so it is not a complete application, and they're not deemed complete until fees and all of the documents requested are turned in. Some of the documents that we're missing or some of the information has been submitted. So, but this application is not complete, so there is no vested right in this particular project at this point in time. In our meeting earlier today, that we had a discussion, the same thing was brought up. We are the stewards for the people. We represent the town of Chi-Lai. We represent the people of the town of Chi-Lai. That's our business. And we take this very seriously, having our code up to date, whether it seems, and you may experience and been dealt with hundreds and hundreds of other municipalities who have beautiful codes and some who don't have beautiful codes. This is still Child Eyes Code, and it's under our purview to make sure that this code is done correctly and up to date and current. At this time, as I mentioned to you earlier, I don't know if we could even legally do it, but I'm not even interested. I am not interested in trying to do something here with some fees in escrow and not knowing what the fees are going to be so that you can keep the project moving forward. I'd like us to be able to do our work and do our due diligence and make sure the application, make sure the town has everything it wants and needs in its code at this point in time. So we'll leave it at that. So anyone else wishing to speak at the public hearing?
Supervisor, just one question for you. There was a comment made about the life of these type of facilities, and after a while they are no longer productive. From past history, then I would say, what is that time frame, and then what is done once they get to that point? What happens with that property?
It's my understanding it's somewhere in that 25 to 30 year time frame it may be a little longer, but my understanding in the conversation, so if a panel goes, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, go bad, a lot of times they just simply replace the panel with another panel and keep going, as long as the project is still a viable project for what they're doing it. So they would just replace panels as they go along.
Okay, all right. And then I highly respect and appreciate your service to our country. That is something I strongly believe in and so forth. And if you look at my history, you know why. But I also know that people come and go as well. So I may be sitting up here today, may be gone tomorrow. Same with other positions. So your word is very important to you as well as myself. And I just want to say that unfortunately we may not be there tomorrow, and then maybe somebody else who doesn't have that same commitment. So I understand and respect that. That's, I just want to mention that. So.
Anything else from anybody?
Just to clarify, and to piggyback on Councilman Slattery's comments, that is sort of the intent and purpose of a moratorium. You asked a question regarding the life expectancy and some of the issues that perhaps maybe were overlooked when the code was initially passed, and the impact it may have on the community and the health and safety and well-being of its constituents. That's the intent behind the moratorium, is to allow sufficient due diligence.
Correct.
To look into all of those issues. And to be clear, although the lack of a fee schedule may be what predicated this or precipitated this, the moratorium itself is not limited to just the review of the fee schedule. The moratorium is you as a board and whoever the town brings into the fold to review this is capable of looking at the code, and if they want to leave it, they can leave it. If they want to make modifications, revisions to it based upon their due diligence, based upon what they believe is in the best interest of the town and its constituents, they can do that. So I just want to make that point.
Thank you for that.
All right. Anybody else? Anything? All right. Then moving right along, we'll go on to, anyone else want to hear the public hearing? I'll declare the public hearing is closed, and we'll move down to the public forum. Anyone wishing to speak at the public forum, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you shall be heard. Seeing none, we'll move right along on the agenda. Under matters of the supervisor, first thing I would like to do is I'd like to thank Mr. Lindsay, his staff, Mr. Curley, his staff, all of you who came out to help at our Veterans Day celebration, the breakfast and dedication of our new memorial last Saturday. We had absolutely perfect day for that. It was a great breakfast. It was a great dedication, I think, to that new memorial. The commander over at the American Legion actually broke down in tears when she saw that memorial and what we put together. So, one, thank you to the board, Mr. Lindsay, your people, for helping us get that memorial put together. as well as thanks for your help that day, all your crews that came out to help us make that a beautiful event. So thank you all for that. I don't know how many of you watch Channel 13 News, but at 6 o'clock this evening, there was a nice little piece on Channel 13 about the Chain Gang at the Senior Center. If you don't know what the Chain Gang is a group of women who go out and knit. Apparently, the first row of a crocheted item is called a chain, so they call themselves a Chain Gang. So they went to a charter school and had the kids make a drawing of a hat that they would like, a winter hat that they would like. And the kids drew these hats and gave those. They didn't know what was happening. The school gave the drawings to the Chain Gang because the Chain Gang wanted to do this. They made custom hats for each one of the kids, and then today presented it to those kids over at the school, and the kids were like, I can't remember the name of the school.
Okay.
I'm sorry. It was one of the charter schools. It'll be online on Channel 13. Check it out. It was really great. But it's nice to see a lot of the good stuff that happens here in the town of Chilai, and the good-hearted people who live here, work here, play here, and the things that they offer up to the rest of the community. To see the kids' faces when they got their hats was pretty cool. So I encourage you to check it out online and look at that. So, and thank you to the Chain Gang for their work in that and making that happen. So, ladies, if you do get to see this town board meeting at some point or someone shows you to, thank you.
Yes.
We appreciate what you do.
It's the Renaissance Academy Charter School of the Arts.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where's that located, do you know?
I don't have the address. No,
No.
I just got the name.
Yeah.
You're asking for too much.
So.
But it's outside of the town of Chilai community.
Correct.
Right. So,
Also coming up before our next time, December 7th, I believe, is the tree lighting?
6th.
6th?
Friday
Okay.
night, the
7th is a breakfast, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, so the tree lighting is December 6th. December 7th is our breakfast with Santa. I always look forward to that event. It's always a lot of fun, a good time. And once again, it's going to have the very large craft fair there. I think the entire community center was consumed by crafters and really, really nice stuff too. So it wasn't your junk at all. It was really, really nice. So that was work, I think, with Brasser. We work with
Yes, we worked with
Brasser's
Brasser last year.
organization to put that on, so that's really good. So other than that, I don't believe I have anything else. Council, members of council?
go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, I do. Last October 23rd, the Chamber of Commerce held their annual Community Awards Gala. And I just want to thank everyone here for your participation in that. Michael presented our Lisa Martin Outstanding Citizen Award to Otto Harnischweger. And if you don't know Otto, you ought to know Otto. He's just a fantastic individual. He is president of the Pirate Toys Fund.
Executive director.
Executive director of the Pirate Toy Fund. And David always, every year, presents our Civic Beautification Award, and that went to John Gizzi and the Gizzi family for the brick home that was refurbished right at the intersection of Union Street and the on-ramp for 490. It used to be hidden behind all kinds of brush, and they've really just brought it back to life. Those are just a couple examples of awards, but I just want to thank everyone for their involvement. We had 147 people that came to the dinner to congratulate everyone who had won. So I should mention one of the other winners was Arlene Nanry. And Arlene is the one that had the idea to start a comfort care home on the west side because there are not enough of them around. And Arlene put together a group of people that have been fundraising since, and they've been working on this for about 10 years, and they're almost ready to open up. And so she won our Women's Leadership Award, which was named after Loretta Simmons, the first woman president of the Chamber 50 years ago. So, but I just want to thank everyone for their participation and support. It's a great thing for our community.
Anybody? David, also, just to touch on before and if you haven't seen the new memorial that is up at the community center, I would highly recommend that you do. It is very special and very touching and just well-deserved for our brave men and women that have served our country. But before that, the town of Chilai, because of our deep respect and honor that we have for the men and women that serve our country, we also, Barbara and I'm not going to mention her last name, but great people. She also started a donation drive to send items to our troops that will go overseas, the small little packets, whether it's cleaners, hand wipes, that, there was a number of, I can't tell you the number of pieces that were donated to them, but Mary just mentioned Otto Harnisch-Figure, the executive director of the Pirate Toy Fund. I'm also involved with them as well, and they donated chapstick, puzzles, little games or little different things that the men and women that's serving overseas, that if the conditions that they may be serving and may not be have access to Wi-Fi unless you're in a certain branch of the military, then you stay at a Best Western, but just kidding about the Air Force. The items that were donated was just amazing and truly special, and they put a bunch of people together to pack these items up, and then they'll be shipped out. And then there's also another event that's coming up just after Thanksgiving is Trees for Troops. The different legions get together. We go out to Stokey Farms, and then Stokey's is great. And you can make a donation to Stokey's if you want make a donation towards a tree. And then FedEx comes out with a tractor trailer, and we load all these trees into a tractor trailer. In the past, there's been 2 tractor trailers. And then they will mail these trees to various locations, bases, for the men and women that will not be home celebrating the holidays with their families. So I just want to mention those as well.
Excellent. Anything else? All right. And moving right along, we do have the approval of the minutes from the October meeting, as well as several reports that have been submitted. We do have correspondence. The town of Shiloh has received notification from Edgardo Madaro from the DPW. He resigned effective October 11th, 2024. Moving on to the agenda, Resolution 216, authorizing surety form in the amount of official undertaking for the faithful performance of the duties of the town clerk and receiver of taxes and assessments.
Second.
Moved by Councilman DeCory, second by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 217, adopting assessment rolls for 2025 for lighting districts, drainage district, fire protection districts, ambulance district, park district, and sidewalk districts.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Valerio, seconded by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 218, adoption of the annual town budget for 2025. Moved by Councilwoman Spare,
Second.
second by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 219, fire and ambulance contracts.
Moved.
Moved by Councilman Slattery,
Second.
second by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 220, Penflex Inc. agreement.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Slattery, second by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments?
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 221, seeker status of adoption of local law number 4 of 2024 for a 6-month moratorium on Tier 3 solar energy system approvals in the town of Chilai.
Moved.
Moved by Councilman Valerio,
Second.
second by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 222, adoption of local law number 4 of 2024 for a 6-month moratorium on Tier 3 solar energy system approvals in the town of Chilai Town Code.
Moved.
Moved by Councilman Slattery,
Second.
second by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments?
Well, I understand the concerns for the people that spoke earlier tonight. As was also mentioned, that I think it was mentioned that this is new maybe for the town of Charlotte, but I think it's beyond that. I think it's also doing our due diligence. There's a number of times that we've had to go through and look, something is brought to our attention that maybe has been under the radar. We didn't know. Our code book is very large. So I think that for us to do our due diligence and our responsibility to the people that put us in these seats, I think we have to do what's right, and I understand the concerns that are out there. So I highly respect their thoughts and opinions as well.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Bless you.
Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunn?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 223, 2024, budget amendments. Moved by Councilwoman Spare,
Second.
second by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 224, transfer to equipment reserves.
Move.
Moved by Councilman DeCory, second by Councilman Valerio. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 225, Chi-Li Fire Department active list.
Moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Spare, second by Councilman Valerio. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 226, Chi-Li Fire Department removed from active list. Moved by Councilman Valerio,
Second.
second by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 227, bids for sidewalk plowing.
Move.
Moved by Councilman DeCory,
Second.
second by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments?
Seems like one of the Crenzers has not been this year.
It's all it ever is.
Well, usually there's three, but yeah.
Yeah, usually there's three, but this time we only,
Chris is here.
oh. Yeah. Any other questions or comments?
Sorry, Chris.
Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 228, modifications to jet fuel drive street light system.
Moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Spare,
Second.
second by Councilman Slattery. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 229, intermunicipal agreement, IMA, with Monroe County for Paul Road Sidewalk Project.
Move. Second.
The entire board moves.
Amen to that.
Amen to that.
The
It's
entire
right.
board seconds.
Yes,
uh,
yes, seriously.
Can we do that?
Can you do that?
Can-
No, let's have someone designated as a,
Councilman,
James.
moved by Councilman Slattery, seconded by Councilman Valerio.
Yeah, there you go.
Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes, that's a first.
Guess we
Passes
really want this
5-0. Resolution 230, attorney for assessment.
Move.
Moved by Councilman DeCory,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Spare. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 231, Recreation Department.
Moved.
Moved by Councilman Valerio,
Second.
second by Councilman DeCory. Questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman DeCory?
Aye.
Councilwoman Spare?
Aye.
Councilman Valerio?
Aye.
Councilman Slattery?
Aye.
Supervisor Dunning?
Aye, passes 5-0. Resolution 232,